And then let me highlight one other possible situation. Let's call this case 3. Here at expiration, let's say the IBM stock price is 165, right? Now, what do you do in this case? Do you choose to exercise or not exercise the option? And this, although this is a pretty straightforward decision here, it's sometimes confusing because you end up confusing payoffs and profits. So in this case, first of all, if you choose not to exercise the option, well, that would be similar to the second case, right? You don't exercise the option, your payoff is zero and you lose the entire premium, right? But if you choose to exercise the option, then what happens? Well, this option, uh, in this case, again, the exercise price is 160 and the stock price is 165. So you can buy the underlying share at 160 and sell it for 165, right? So what's your payoff? Your payoff is $5. Diff 165 minus 160, right? So that's a $5 payoff. Um, $5. Okay. And then what about your net gain or loss from this position? Net profit is, so you make $5 here at the time of expiration, but then your premium, the price of the option was actually $9.15. So overall, from this option position, you end up losing $4.15. So it's still a loss, but remember, losing $4.15 is better than losing $9.15. So you will still go ahead and exercise the option, right? At least part of your premium that you paid is recovered here by exercising the option and getting this $5 payoff, right? So what this situation here highlights, this case 3, is that your decision to exercise the option, it's pretty straightforward. In case of call option, if the stock price at expiration is greater than 160, you exercise the option, right? If the stock price is 160 or lower, you will choose to let this option expire. It would be worthless and you would lose the entire premium, right? Anytime price is greater than 160, we would exercise this option. Even if there is a loss, at least we are able to recover some of the premium and our loss is lower than what it would be if we had not exercised the option. Okay. One other thing that I want to highlight, and that should be clear from this example, is that for an option buyer, right, the maximum possible loss is the premium. The buyer of the option cannot lose more than $9.15 per option. Why? Because at any price less than 160, the option will not be exercised and all the buyer would lose is the premium. It does not matter whether price is 155 or 150 or 100 or 50 or 0, right? I mean, if it is less than 160 or 160 or lower, you will not exercise the option, and you have a choice not to exercise the option and you would basically just lose the premium. So maximum possible loss is the premium. What about maximum possible gain? Well, that's unlimited because as you can see here from case 1, uh, the higher the stock price goes, the greater is your payoff and the greater is your profit, right? So if stock price is 175, you have $15 payoff. If it is 200, your payoff would be $40. If it is even higher, your payoff would be even higher. So basically with this option, you have this skewed sort of distribution of payoff. You're participating in all the gains, but your downside is limited, right? So it's a non-linear sort of payoff relationship, and that would be further clarified when we look at some examples, some graphs actually later on in our discussion. All right, so let me go back to the PowerPoints here and So we already clarified some of the terminology. We learned about call options, exercise price or strike price. We talked about that. Premium is just the price of the option. Let's now turn our attention to put option. Um, so call option gives you the right to buy. The put option gives you the right to sell the asset at a fixed pre-specified price, right? Again, all the other stuff is identical. The only difference here is that in case of call option, you have the right to buy. In case of put option, you have the right to sell, right? So again, let's go back to our example on the next slide. So here, again, our IBM example. So now as I said before, the quote for the put option is on the right here. So this is the price of this put option. So again, same thing. September expiration is strike price is 160. So in this case, what that means is that the put buyer, the buyer of the put option, has the right to sell the underlying IBM share for 160. This is the right to sell at 160. Okay, and the buyer is purchasing that right by paying this premium of $2.62. Okay, so this is the right to sell. So again, let's go back to our whiteboard and let's look at a couple of possible scenarios as to how this is going to work out for the buyer under different possible strike price cases. So this was for the call option, right? Let me just clarify that this is for the call option here, and then the next thing that we are going to look at is going to be for the put option. Okay, so uh, let me change this here itself. So now we're talking about put option. Again, same stock price, same strike price or exercise price. The premium for this put option is $2.62. Again, we are looking at this first one here with September expiration. Okay, all right. First case, let me start with the favorable scenario as before. At expiration, the stock price is 155. Let me erase all this stuff here. All right, so let's first work on this scenario here. So what happens if the stock price at expiration is 165? Again, remember what we are assuming here is that you hold on to this put option till expiration. Remember, generally speaking, you have the right to exercise the option at any time up until expiration. Here we are looking at just the expiration. So you buy this put option, you pay $2.62 per option for each option. Each option gives you the right to sell one share of IBM at $160, and you just wait till September 20th, right till the expiration, and then at that time you're looking at the stock price of 155, right? So now what happens in this case? You have the right to sell at 160. So how you can think about this scenario is that you can buy the share from the market, in this case at the prevailing market price, whatever is the stock price at that time, and then you can use your right to sell it for 160, right? So if the stock price is 155, you can buy a share for 155 and then immediately sell it for 160 using the put option. I mean, in reality, actually, that's not how this transaction works, but it's easier to think about it this way in terms of computing the payoffs and profits, that you bought at 155 and you have the right to sell at 160. What's your payoff in this case then? So 160 is what you got from selling the share, and 155 is what you paid for buying the share. The difference is your payoff, right? So I hope everyone got that. You have the right to sell at 160. you buy at 155, that's the market price, and you immediately sell it for 160. So 160 minus 155, that is your payoff. That is what you get at the time of expiration. But of course, to get this put option, you paid the premium of $2.62. So on the net, your payoff is $2 and, or sorry, your net profit is $2.38, right? So $5 is the payoff, 262 is the premium for the put option. So this is how much you would end up with for each option that you hold, right? So for one contract it would be again $238. So again, if you can see how your gains are huge in this case, right? On each $2.62 that you invested, you end up with a profit of 238, right? That's like 90% profit, right, within a short period of time. And the stock price has gone from 166.76 to 155. So that's not even like a 10% decline. That's like 7-8% decline. So stock price has not gone down that much, but your option profits from the put option are huge, right? Let's look at the unfavorable scenario. So let's say the stock price is 170, right? In this case, again, you have the right to sell at 160. So you can think about this transaction as, if you were to exercise the put option, you would be buying at 170 and selling at 160, right? And obviously you don't want to do that. You have a choice not to do that. In this case, you would just let your option expire, worthless. Your payoff would be zero. And again, as before, you will lose the premium. So your net profit would be negative $2.62, right? And then of course you can think about like the intermediate case where the stock price is, say, something like 161 or 159 or things like that. But again, just like the call option, the decision here is actually pretty straightforward. So let's actually not look at this scenario. So let's think about these two cases here, right? So you have this case one. uh, you have a stock price that has gone down, and that's where you're making profit, right? So buying a put option is basically a bearish position. You're hoping for the price to go down. You have locked in your sell price at 160. The lower the price goes, right, if it goes to 150, your payoff would be $10. If it goes to 140, your payoff would be $20, and so on, right? So the lower the price goes, the higher is your payoff, higher is your profit. So you want the price to be going down, right? So this is actually a bearish position, right? It's a kind of like short selling, although the payoff structure is a little bit different here than as compared to short selling, but it's a bearish position, right? You're betting on the decline in stock price. And also at any price 160 and higher at expiration, basically your payoff is zero and you lose the entire premium, right? So if the stock price at expiration ends up a 160 or higher, that's the worst case scenario. Again, just like the call option, the buyer of put option uh, loses the premium at most. The maximum possible loss is just the premium. At any price 160 or higher, the premium is lost, right? But here, the lower the price goes, the greater is the payoff. Of course, the profit in this case is not going to be unlimited, because there is a lower bound on the price, right? The stock price cannot go below zero. So basically there is a lower bound on the net gain that the buyer would have. Unlike the call option, you make money when the price goes up, and because there is no upper bound on the price can go to any arbitrary high level. Your maximum possible gain from the call option is unlimited, right? That's not the case here, because there is a lower bound on the stock price, and that is zero. All right, so those are the basics of this call and put options. Okay, now let me talk about some important terminology here. I mean, if you let's say have a brokerage account, and that account is approved for trading for options, then oftentimes you will see some terminology that is included in there. So I just want to make sure that you're familiar with all these different terms here: in the money option, at the money option, and out of money option. So what does this mean? Um, okay, so uh, in the money option, so basically in this case what's happening is uh, anytime in case of call option the stock price is greater than the exercise price, you say that the option is in the money. All right, so let me again go back to the example here, in the money option. All right, so look at this option here, right? Again, 160 strike call option, right? What is the current stock price? 166.76. If you were to exercise this option right now at this point, when you're looking at these numbers, right, when you're observing this quote, remember you have the right to exercise the option at any time before expiration, right? So let's say you bought this option last month and now you want to close your position, you don't want to wait till expiration. And one way to do that is to just exercise the option. So we'll have more things to say about that, but if I were to exercise this option, what would be my payoff? So I have the right to buy. Again, remember we are talking about the call option here. I have the right to buy at 160. So I can buy the share at 160 and sell it for 166.76, right? So that would be a payoff of $6.76. I mean, this is in a situation when you are exercising this option right away, right? When you're observing this code. Earlier cases that we looked at, you're waiting till expiration. So by exercising this option, I have a positive payoff of $6.76. We are not talking about profit here. We are talking about payoff here, right? So anytime the stock price is greater than exercise price for the call option, we'll say that the call option is in the money because exercising the option would generate a positive payoff. All right. 166.76 is greater than 160. So this call option is in the money. All these call options are in the money. These four with 165 strike, they are also in the money because again 166.76 is greater than 165. So if I'm holding this option here with 165 strike, I have the right to buy at 165 and then I can sell it for 166.76. I'll make $1.76 in payoff. So that's a positive payoff. So that's in the money. These options at the bottom, these call options are out of money, right? So out of money means the option currently you won't consider exercising it. You don't want to buy at 170 and then sell it at a lower price. If you're buying this option today or at the time when you're looking at this quote, you're buying it for the possibility that up until expiration the price might go higher, but at this point the option is out of money. Okay, so the simple idea here is that if the immediate exercise of the option results in a positive payoff, then we say that the option is in the money. Otherwise, like in this case, it is out of money. If the exercise price is same as the stock price, if both of them are equal, let's say the stock price was 165 and all these four options with 165 strike, they would be then at the money, right? So if stock price is same as exercise price, we would say that the option is at the money, right? So in the money option, out of money option, and at the money option. For put option is the same idea. You look at whether the immediate exercise of the option would result in a positive payoff or not. So if you think about 160 strike put option, right? So now we're talking about put options. Would you consider exercising the option? Again, you have the right to sell at 160. So you would be buying at 166.76 and selling at 160, right? You don't want to do that. So this option is out of money. 165 strike put options are also out of money, but 170 strike put options are in the money. You have the right to sell at 170, buy at lower price, sell at a higher price. That would result in a positive payoff. So these options are in the money, right? So that is how it works in case of put option. So that's the idea behind this in the money, at the money, and out of money options. Okay, now just before we proceed further, very quickly, some institutional features of options. Most of the options that you will come across, they are exchange traded options, just like shares of a stock, right? We have talked about New York Stock Exchange and American, the NYSE and the Nasdaq market. Similarly, there are option exchanges where trading in options take place. These are venues for option trading. Now, if you notice, options come in limited strike prices, right? You have 160 and 165 and 170 here. You don't have an option with a strike price of say 163, right? Also, if you look at expiration dates, you have September, October. There is no November expiration in this example, right? So only a limited number of expiration dates, third Friday of the month, generally speaking. So you have a limited set of strike prices, limited set of expiration dates, and that is basically standardization, right? That all of these options are standardized. If you want an option with a strike price of 163, well, that is not available. So either you go with 165 or you go with 160. So what that does is that it increases trading in limited set of securities, so that makes this market more liquid, right? There is more trading in this standardized options, and that actually is beneficial for investors because there is more liquidity, so your bid ask spreads and other transaction costs are lower, right? So most of the options that you will come across, they are exchange traded standardized options. Okay, now, one other thing that I want to clarify here is that so far the way we have discussed options, what we were talking about was what is known as American option. So an American option is the one that can be exercised at any time up until expiration, like we have said so far. But there are some types of options which can be exercised only at expiration. All right, so you have to wait till expiration before you exercise those options, and those are actually known as European options. All right, so European options, and most likely you will not come across European options. They're pretty rare. There are some on foreign indexes and things like that. Most of the options, vast majority of options out there are actually American options. Okay, so